In a luxurious mansion hidden deep within a vast forest, lived Ethan Calloway, a reclusive billionaire. Despite his immense wealth, he had chosen a life of solitude, away from the glitz and glamour of the world. People in the nearby town had heard whispers of his fortune but never seen him. Ethan found peace in his private life, focusing on his charity work from behind the scenes, never seeking attention. One evening, as the sun began to set, Ethan sat alone by his grand piano, gazing out at the beautiful horizon. He reflected on his decision to keep his wealth a secret, understanding that the world's perceptions of him might change if they knew the truth. He had witnessed firsthand the emptiness of fame and riches, where love was often mistaken for admiration and loyalty, a fragile illusion. Everything changed when a young woman named Benitha, an aspiring journalist, arrived at the nearby village. She had heard rumors of the mysterious billionaire and was determined to uncover his story. Benitha was curious not just about Ethan's wealth but about the man behind the fortune. She hoped to write a book that would reveal the hidden lives of billionaires and their untold stories of struggles, love, and sacrifice. Benitha's quest led her to the mansion one stormy evening. As the rain poured down, she stood at the grand gates, hesitant but determined to find out more. Surprisingly, the gates opened, and Ethan himself greeted her with a quiet smile. His eyes reflected a mixture of surprise and curiosity as he invited her inside, knowing this visit would change everything. Inside the mansion, Benitha was struck by its simplicity. There were no extravagant displays of wealth, just a few paintings and sculptures scattered across the rooms. It was a stark contrast to the opulent lifestyle most billionaires lived. Ethan led Benitha to his study, where they began to talk. He spoke of his childhood, his humble beginnings, and how he built his empire from nothing. Benitha listened attentively, intrigued by Ethan's story. She expected a typical billionaire's tale of ambition and greed but was instead met with a story of sacrifice and love. Ethan had started his journey to help others, to give back to the world that had given him so much. Benitha was beginning to realize that Ethan was not the man she had imagined. As the evening progressed, Ethan showed Benitha an old photograph of a woman. Her name was Anatha, and she had been Ethan's first love. Their love story was one of pure devotion, but Anatha had passed away unexpectedly several years ago. Ethan shared how he had been devastated by her loss and how it had shaped his decision to live a life of solitude. Benitha could see the pain in Ethan's eyes as he spoke of Anatha. It was clear that he had loved her deeply, and her absence had left a void in his heart that no wealth could fill. Benitha began to see the true depth of Ethan's character, a man who had not only sacrificed for others but had also sacrificed his own happiness for the sake of love. Ethan took Benitha on a tour of his charity foundation, which supported numerous causes around the world. He had built schools, hospitals, and homes for the less fortunate, all while maintaining a low profile. Benitha was amazed by the scale of Ethan's philanthropy and the lives he had touched. Yet, he never sought recognition for his work. As they walked through the halls of the foundation, Ethan explained how he had invested his fortune into these causes, always choosing to help others rather than indulge in personal luxuries. Benitha was moved by his humility and began to question the true meaning of wealth. She had expected to find a man consumed by power, but instead, she found a man consumed by love and compassion. Late one night, after hours of conversation, Benitha asked Ethan why he had chosen such a hidden life. Why had he not shared his story with the world? Ethan paused, looking out of the window at the moonlit sky before answering. He explained that his wealth had once blinded him, leading him to make decisions he regretted. After losing Anatha, he realized that love and human connection were far more important than money. Benitha understood. Ethan had given up fame and recognition to protect his heart from the distractions of the world. He had chosen a life of sacrifice, where love and service to others were his true priorities. His wealth had allowed him to do good, but it had also created barriers between him and the world. Benitha knew she could never fully capture the complexity of Ethan's life in a book, but she was determined to share his story. As the days passed, Benitha spent more time with Ethan, learning about his past and his dedication to his charity. She found herself drawn to him, not because of his wealth, but because of his genuine kindness and vulnerability. Ethan, too, began to open his heart to Benitha, something he hadn't done in years. However, there was still a wall between them. Ethan was afraid to love again, fearing the pain of loss. Benitha could sense his hesitation but also recognized the depth of his feelings. She wanted to help him heal, but she knew it would take time for him to trust again. Their connection was undeniable, yet complicated by Ethan's fears. One afternoon, Benitha was alone in the mansion when she received an unexpected visit from Ethan's old business partner, James. James had been a close friend to Ethan for many years, but their relationship had become strained after Anatha's death. James was concerned about Ethan's increasing isolation and wanted him to return to the public eye, to show the world the good he had done. Benitha listened as James spoke, but she knew that Ethan would never return to the spotlight willingly. Ethan's desire for privacy and his devotion to his late wife were too strong. James seemed frustrated but left, promising to keep in touch. Benitha realized that Ethan's past was full of unresolved issues, and she wondered if he would ever truly move past his grief. As time went on, Ethan began to feel conflicted. He had always believed that his love for Anatha was something that could never be replaced, but his growing feelings for Benitha made him question that belief. Benitha had brought warmth back into his life, reminding him of the possibility of happiness and love. Yet, he was still afraid to let go of the past. One evening, after a long conversation, Benitha gently told Ethan that he didn't have to choose between his love for Anatha and his potential future with her. Love, she explained, was not about replacing someone, but about embracing the journey of life and its many possibilities. Ethan was moved by her words, realizing that he had been holding on to grief rather than allowing himself to heal. With newfound clarity, Ethan made the bold decision to open his heart once more. He invited Benitha to the garden, where they sat under the stars. There, he confessed that he had fallen in love with her, despite his fears and reservations. Benitha, too, admitted her feelings, and they shared a quiet moment of connection, knowing that they had both found something precious in each other. For the first time in years, Ethan felt the warmth of love in his heart again. It was not the same as his love for Anatha, but it was no less meaningful. Benitha had taught him that love could evolve and that it was not bound by time or loss. It was a gift that had to be cherished in the present. Ethan made a promise to Benitha that night. He would continue his charity work, but he would no longer hide from the world. He would share his story, not for the sake of fame or recognition, but to inspire others to live with love and purpose. Benitha agreed to help him write his story, not as a journalist, but as someone who had witnessed the true essence of his heart. Together, they began to document Ethan's journey, focusing on the love and sacrifices that had shaped his life. It was a story of redemption, of finding peace amidst grief, and of the healing power of love. They knew that it was a story worth telling, not for the world's approval, but for the hope it could offer to others. When Ethan's story was finally published, it was not met with the overwhelming media frenzy he had once feared. Instead, it resonated with many people who had experienced loss, love, and sacrifice in their own lives. Ethan became known not for his wealth, but for his humanity and his commitment to making the world a better place. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and Ethan felt a sense of peace he had never known before. He realized that by sharing his story, he had not only healed himself but had helped others heal as well. His love for Benitha had opened a door to a new chapter in his life, one that was no longer defined by isolation or grief. Ethan and Benitha's relationship blossomed, and they spent many happy years together. They continued their work with the charity, growing it into a global organization that touched millions of lives. Despite their success, they remained grounded, always remembering the importance of love, humility, and service to others. Benitha and Ethan's story became a symbol of the power of love and sacrifice. It was a reminder that wealth could never replace the things that truly mattered in life, the connections we make, the love we share, and the sacrifices we are willing to make for others. As years passed, Ethan's health began to decline. Benitha stood by his side, supporting him as he had once supported others. It was a full-circle moment for both of them. Ethan had lived a life of sacrifice, and now it was Benitha's turn to care for him, just as he had cared for so many throughout his life. On his deathbed, Ethan held Benitha's hand and whispered his final words, "Love is the greatest gift we can give, and the greatest gift we can receive." Benitha smiled through her tears, knowing that Ethan's legacy would live on in the hearts of those who had been touched by his kindness. Years after Ethan's passing, Benitha continued to run the charity and keep his story alive. She shared his teachings with the world, reminding everyone that true wealth is not measured by money, but by the love and sacrifices we make for others. Ethan's mansion, once a symbol of isolation, had become a place where people came to learn about compassion, humility, and the power of love. In the end, Ethan's life was not defined by his billions, but by the love he gave, the lives he touched, and the sacrifices he made. Benitha, now older, often thought back to the day she had met Ethan, and how that meeting had changed her life forever. His story was a testament to the fact that even the most hidden lives can leave behind a legacy that transcends time. Moral of the story: true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the love we give and the sacrifices we make for others. True fulfillment comes from living with purpose, humility, and compassion, and embracing the love that surrounds us.